Hi guys, welcome back to your boy's channel. It's your boy Santi. If you're already here, kindly smash the like button. If you're new, kindly subscribe to the channel and drop your comments on the video. In today's video, I'm gonna interview a couple of Arsenal fans to know their thoughts about the signing of Ricardo Calafiori, who is now officially an Arsenal player. Let's get right into it.
Ricardo! 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 Grazie!
Hi bro, how you doing? Calafiori is officially an Arsenal player. How excited are you and how do you see this guy fitting into our team?
Yeah, Sonny, I'm really excited. I'm like majorly excited by this signing. Up first, when it broke, when you have the best defence in the Premier League, and do you have to strengthen it? And
Exactly.
I think the question is, yes, you do. Why rest on it? And there's great points coming that I've heard, and it makes me excited. Calafiori can. I see him as a left back first and foremost. But also, I think Calafiori will bring in an opportunity for Arsenal to play five at the back rather than play the rigid four normally as well. And I have a really well take, mate. I think I have a really well take. But for me, I don't watch enough of Italian football, so I don't know this guy. I'm just going off of what other people have said, and he is a very high risk and reward player. And when you've got the best defence in the league, I think Arsenal are entitled to add risk and reward. If it costs us 5 goals in a season, and we get another 10 or 15 goals in a season, I think that's a really major thing. But my wild take, Santi, on this is I think possibly over the next 2 seasons, our best player is going to be Urian Timber. And I think Calafiori coming in. I originally thought that Timber would come in and play left back for Arsenal last season. But I think that if Calafiori coming in might actually put Timber as our six in midfield. And you can shoot me down for this, and it is recorded. It is recorded. But
Yeah,
I
let me
think
ask you this. Let me ask you this. We had like 7 senior defenders at the club already before the addition
yeah,
of Calafiori, which now makes it 8. And that's going to be a lot of selection headache going into the new season, considering
yeah.
every single one of these guys have their unique, uh, ability, what they brings into the team. What would be your, starting back for going into the new season?
If it was a back four, it's a bit. It's very hard because I don't want to leave Timber out of it. But I'm going to put Timber in midfield. So my back four would still be. It would be White. It would definitely be Saliba, Gabriel, and it would be Calafiori now.
Ricardo Calafiori is officially here, and there's been a lot of eyebrows, raised at his signing. Do we need another defender? Being the fact that we're the best defense in the league last season and arguably in Europe or world football the entirety of last season. And now our first major signing is another defender when we have other areas in the team to address. What do you think about his addition and how do you see him fit into our team?
Look, there's a lot of things about this sign, and I think the big thing is what's going to happen at that left back situation. In that, surely one of Kivior or Zinchenko goes, because you can't have this many left backs and this many defenders. We're just stockpiling at this point. So personally, I think Kivior will depart, probably to an Inter Milan or something like that. I think what I really like about the player is he's very versatile. I like how tall he is. The fact that he can play left back, I think he will it will be between him and Timber who start at left back. I don't think Zinchenko's even in the conversation. I think if we want to play an attacking left back, then you play Calafiori, or Urian Timber. Both of
Right.
those players have very similar profiles, and both of those players are versatile. So I personally think Zinchenko and Kivior just aren't even in the conversation in terms of who is starting. Um, I really like Calafiori. He's young. Um, I believe he can play left centre back as well. Um,
Yes.
I don't think he's probably going to play there as much, but like it is an option if Gabriel does suddenly get injured. We can play him there. We've got that depth. Um, and I think it potentially unlocks Gabriel Martinelli for this season. I think Gabriel Martinelli could be in for a really, really good season. I think, and it's a hot take, but I do think Gabriel Martinelli may score more than Bukayo Saka this season. And I do think he may be our Champions League top goal scorer as well,
That's
because
a bold
I
one.
just see Calafiori just getting the absolute best out of a Gabriel Martinelli that a Granit Xhaka did, for example. If we get, I don't know, a midfielder in as well, again, like it could really unlock Martinelli. So there's a lot of positives to this. I don't really see many negatives other than the fact that it's another defender and it's not like an attacker, which we all want. But like again, we literally have the best defensive record in the Premier League last season. So to kind of upgrade on what we had in that he's better than the Kivior and he's better than Zinchenko, for me, I'm happy with that because it just solidifies our defense depth even more.
Okay. Let me ask you this. Considering the fact that obviously we are bloated in defense right now, and personally, I think at least one or two of these guys have to go. And the names that will be popular on that list will be Kvyat, Zinchenko, and I don't know if Tomiyasu will be there because he was just offered a new contract, but this guy cannot stay fit, since he came to the club. US tour didn't play any tournament this summer, injured his knee or ankle or whatever, couldn't go on the tour. Which two players in our defense would you be willing to let go?
I think Kivior would be the first choice. I just don't think he's at the level that we need. Um, he's a good option to have, but we want players that are pushing to start. Pushing the competition further and further. That's how the likes of I'll give you an example. Timber and White, for example, those two guys are pushing each other every limit of the way. And for me, I think it does raise question marks over Tomiyasu. He did sign a new contract, but again, it was a 2-year contract. It wasn't like a 4-year contract with the likes of Saka, Saliba, have all been offered. So I personally think that the club would be open to selling Tomiyasu, judging at the fact that they didn't give him a long contract. And I think that might be because of his injury related issues. And the fact that he's not involved in this preseason, I think, is a massive red flag. And I think, again, like I think he could potentially be off. I just don't think he'll be at the first choice of being offloaded. For example, I think Kivior and Zinchenko are ahead of him.
Gidos, Calafiori is finally an Arsenal player officially, and considering the fact that we had the best defense in the league last season and arguably in Europe or world football generally, the fact that we need to add, attacking players, we need marquee signing in midfield, and our first signing this summer is another defender. What's so unique and special about this guy? And considering the fact that you watch a lot of games outside Premier League, you've probably watched this guy before. And what do you see this guy bringing into our team, to push aside our other priority signings and just go for this guy this summer?
I think that is an instant level raiser. It is an opportunity in the market that I think we saw and we thought we could explore and we took advantage of it. Ordinarily, the player that would have been joining Thiago Motta moving to Juventus, right? But Bologna didn't want to do business with Juventus after they took Thiago Motta from them. So it just sounded like an opportunity that Arsenal took advantage of. Um, on the field, I think Calafiori is a leader. Is a leader. I watched a few games last year, and not really looking out for Calafiori, but I was looking out for Orsolini in Bologna, which I really like. And when we got linked to him again, I had to go back and download some games and rewatch them again. And what stood out for me, the game that stood out for me was the game against Juventus, and maybe because not because he scored those two goals that he scored, but because the moment he left, Juve came back from 3-0 down to 3-3. Right, so he left in the 75th minute, and Juventus started scoring in 76th minute. By 93rd minute, they were 3-3 back, and it was 3-0 at the time he was leaving. And that tells you what kind of a player that you are getting, right? One that is imposing, one that is dominant, one that um, makes the team play. He's a leader. When he played in Bologna, he was aside Lukumi. And the beautiful thing about that partnership is that they are both left footers. So they take different positions at different times. So he's comfortable stepping out from defense with the ball. He's comfortable, going to the right side of centre back and Lukumi shifting to the left side and everything. He can also play at left back too. So I think this deal is a win for anyone who would have gotten Calafiori. Um, it was evident when Italy crashed out of the Euros that they missed him big time in that game against Switzerland, where they lost 2-0. And not just him. I think I will probably shout out Calvini as well, who missed the Euros and possibly not in the whole transfer scheme of things because of his ACL, right? But he's another defender that could be coming out of Italy pretty soon. But Calafiori is an opportunity, and I'm very excited that we are getting him. Just think about those games where you might be leading 2-1 and you just need to shut things up at the back. A five at the back with Calafiori joining, Gabriel, Saliba, Timber, and Ben White just seals the defense for you. Or even if you want to make it more Arami, and you put in a Tomiyasu to that mix, and you have like four centre backs and two wing backs, or all six centre backs on the pitch, then you know that you are doing a very good job. I can't tell you that I know for sure. So
Okay, go on, go on.
I can't tell you that I know for sure what position he will play for at Arsenal. But most Arsenal fans already are penciling him down as a left back. I think he was exceptional at left centre back last season. So that might also be an option for him this season as well. So it's just going to be interesting where he gets to play.
With his addition, right, what would be your strongest or starting back for going into the new season?
In all honesty, right, I I think the problem we would be having, or the problem that we have, is a welcome problem. I don't want to say that there's going to be a strongest back four, especially when everyone is almost at a premium level, right? So it is not on the days, or it's not in the days of Mustafis and Socrates and all of these people where you just look for the four less evils, right? And you put it in the back four. I think it's just going to be a very competitive one. We could line up with Timber at right back, Saliba at centre back, at right centre back, Calafiori and Zinchenko, or tomorrow there's Timber at centre back and Saliba is on the bench and Ben White, at right back or Ben. So in all honesty, when I see those images on Twitter about the first four, and most of that, is around the um, Wise, Saliba, Gabriel, Calafiori. Like that is just what is in the fans' head right now. But before we are linked to Calafiori, that used to be a timber position, right? So it's just interesting how people are moving just because of what um, some would refer to as Chinese new toy syndrome. If you get where I'm coming.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Let's see what Mikel has in store for us. come the new season. So yeah, Calafiori is an Arsenal player. Finally, I mean that was a very long, a very long and dramatic deal. Tomorrow is
Yep.
booking a flight to London. The next is rescheduling to the US, whatever, whatever. But yeah, he's here. What do you think about the addition of this guy? Because honestly, left to be, I don't really think it should be a priority for us, considering the fact that we have other key areas in the squad that we need to address, and considering the fact that we had the best defense in the league last season, and going out there to splash nearly 50 million on another defender, I'm just struggling to see it. What do you think about his addition to the team?
Yeah. For me, it was a market opportunity that came up, and it would be unwise if anyone in the position of this club, looking at where they want to be, would have the opportunity and not take it. Because if you look at the list of defenders we have, you might say two or three of them are basically on the path where they will be moving on, in terms of the amount of game time that they get, in terms of the injuries as well, and also how our play has been progressing. And one of those players that falls in that category would be Kivio, right? Which we have
Mhm.
seen some links to him to Inter. So for me, it was just an opportunity for a 22-year-old, top of his game. Like for last season, what we basically want from defenders, or what the manager wants from defenders, are actually this guy's strongest suit. So for a club wanting to build, I think it was a no-brainer, just an opportunity that was too good to pass on. Yeah.
Right. There's been a lot of lineups on the timeline since we got linked to these guys. Some are saying Timber out of the team, some are saying Ben White has to
Yeah.
go, some are saying Zinchenko is gone, whatever. A lot. What would be your ideal back four, going into the next season? What do you think is our strongest back four going into the next season?
Uh, to me, it's not really about what our strongest back four is. It's about having a unit, and I don't think he gets into the team immediately. Our strongest back four per se is still the back four which we ended the season with yesterday. Sorry, last season. So it's that for me is still my strongest back four. It's still Arsenal's strongest back four.
But,
He
but,
would
but
be,
there's a position last season that, had a lot of players played in it. There were
yeah,
no
the left back.
particular
Yeah.
regulars, and that's that left back position. Would you
Mm,
think we'll be starting in that position going into the next season? Tomiyasu is injured. Zinchenko has not. I don't think he has played a single minute this preseason
yeah.
so far. Who do you see starting in that position going into next
To
season?
me,
Timber, Calafiori, or
yeah, to me, looking at the players that have put in the work, players that are ready to take in that position, to me, it will be Timber, because he has been basically training the last 6 weeks, even before the players who went for competitions and holiday came back. And as you said, it's a position where we saw a lot of changes last season. That alone tells you it's a position up for grabs. So it's basically the open position where you're not sure who the first pick is. So everyone who is available to play would have to show a reason to hold down that spot. The same way we saw where Kivio held down that spot for about 8 or 9 games. So, but starting the season, to me, my pick would be Timber for the left back, and then because Kala is just coming off holidays, he's going to get into the team probably next week, join them in the US, and only have training um, during the whole when we're back in London for the Emirates Cup and all. So for me, it's Timber starts the season there, and as the season progresses, no matter how far, whether it's 5 games, 6 games, he will definitely have his chance to show. And to me, it's not really a worry, because there are a lot of games coming up this season, and everyone is going to play. But starting the season, I would say Timber for that back.
yeah, that makes sense. Fingers crossed, because honestly, this is something, and 8 defenders at the club. some will probably be not be satisfied with the minutes they'll be getting in the new season, no matter how much we want to rotate our back four. I just see like at least two or three of those guys, complaining about the minutes they are getting, here and there. Who will be your two picks, to be sold?
From the 8 defenders that we have, sincerely, it's a stretch for me, but my first pick would be Kivio. Not because he's not good enough to not because he's not good enough to offer something, but because he maybe the positions where his strengths lie, we are really, really stuck in those positions. And where he could then give cover, we are stuck as well. And then his strengths aren't in that position. So my number one pick would be Kivio. My number two pick, since you're asking me to choose two, which I really don't want us to sell, would be Zinchenko. Not because he doesn't have something to offer, but because of his defensive lapses. But sincerely, I would say Kivio can be moved on because of the positions that he covered. We have enough cover there. But I really don't want to see Zinchenko go because I think he still has something to offer in certain games with his abilities. Yeah.
Yeah, Calafiori is finally and officially an Arsenal player. And for a team that had the best defense in the league last season and probably in the entire Europe or world football, nobody would have guessed that our first major signing in the summer would be another defender. What do you think about his addition, and how do you see him, fit into the team? What's so unique about him?
Well, I mean, it's no secret that Teta loves defenders, and
Bro.
honestly, I do not know what goes on in that man's head. But again, look, it's a good buy. Now we have about 8 defenders. I don't know if there'll be any outgoings, but I'm hoping so because then we might potentially run into issues where you have players sitting on the bench 5 months, 6 months, and then you bring him in and then you expect him to perform magic, right? If you have a very bloated squad, it gets harder to manage. So I don't know the reasoning behind that signing, but from what I can see, I haven't watched much of the player, but he seemed like a very, very good addition. But I'm just concerned about the bloating of the team as well. So
Yeah, I mean, that's a major concern. And me personally, honestly, yeah, you have that excitement about every new addition to the team, but deep down, I don't know. Even though we have issue at left back, Tomiyasu can stay fit. Timber missed the entire season, and Kivio has not been consistent. Zinchenko cannot defend. But I feel like we have every single profile we need in that position. And with this guy coming in, obviously at least two or three players are not going to be satisfied with the minutes they'll be getting into, going into the new season.
yeah.
What will be your strongest back four or your starting back four going into the new season with his
Uh
addition?
yeah. Again, like I'm very optimistic about Califiori, but no one's to know. There's still a big if he will succeed at Arsenal, even with all the talent that he may have. Right, things might happen, injuries may occur. I don't pray the worst for him, but if I am to go with the strongest back four, it will be Ben White because of the consistency. Obviously, Saliba, Gabriel, and Timber. Honestly, I know he's not a left back, but the few that I've seen of him, he seemed very, very solid. I think it's only fair that Califiori fights for his shirt and gets into the
I
first 11.
mean,
Yeah. So yeah.
well, lastly, like we both agree on the fact that some of these players won't be satisfied with the minutes they'll be getting, and probably want to move on, or the club would want to move one or two players on. Who, in your opinion, do you think should be moved on by the club?
Um, from defense, I think that Kiwi or Tomiyasu should leave. I think for one, Tomiyasu, like I love him as a player, but the injury is an issue, right? Kiwier, it doesn't seem like even with Calafiori coming in, it doesn't seem like he's going to be winning much favor with the manager, right? Um, and I am not of the opinion that we should sell Zinchenko because I think there's still a player in there that can slot into midfield, just for a short-term fix. Obviously, Edin Ketia and Emil Smith Rowe, unfortunately.
Yeah, that makes sense. We're halfway through the summer transfer window already, and we've only managed to do one business, which is
Yeah.
not even completed yet.
Mm-hmm.
Not what a lot of people, anticipated coming into the summer. And let's just see how it goes and see how Mikel and Edu handles the whole thing.